Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's a best-selling author of the book The 9% Club, trusted voice on founders' success and business growth. No other than Mr. David Goldstein. Welcome to Book 101, Mr. David. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me here. It's great to be here, and love seeing the book up there. Wrote it to help founders and people win in business and drive success for people. So thanks for having me.
You are most welcome, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more and more empowering best-selling piece to come. And today, let's talk about the 9% Club. What inspired you? This framework, how did you identify the key differences between these two groups?
Yeah, I've been a serial entrepreneur all my life, starting when I was 9 years old, and in the fourth grade. And um, as you progress and get into, did a stint in corporate America, then go bounce back and had a health tech company and other things. And man, it is really, really hard to be a founder, an entrepreneur, and build a company and then scale it correctly and make it work. And if you're, someone like me, you've had your ups and downs, right? And that's just pretty typical because there's not like a recipe. So when you look at it, about 91% of companies fail and 9% win. And so the whole thing here is, hey, look, what do the 9%ers do that works that others can mimic and do? So the point of the book was to give almost like a reference manual of, okay, here are the things you need to do. Here's how, here's why, here's some tools, here's action plans to do it. And hopefully put people in a position where they can become part of the 9% Club, the 9%ers that win, and not have the same shortfalls that a lot of us, have to learn as you go.
Yes, the 9% versus the 91%. What is all about?
Yeah, I mean, 91% unfortunately don't make it. It's really, business is hard. It doesn't need to be as hard as it is. And there's a lot of ways to approach it. So what we talk about in the book is, chapter 2 is not all revenue is created equally. And, it's so easy, whether you're a new company, an existing one, big, it doesn't matter. A lot of times it's easy to get blinded by bad revenue. And there is a difference. And it can bleed you dry. And some customizations, wrong customers, the ones that can't scale with you, wrong systems. There's a huge difference between top line revenue and actual profits that can go in your pocket or put you in the position to reinvest into systems and people that will scale. So things like that, how to approach folks. There's obviously it's a lot on the revenue, sales, marketing, things like that. And the back half is all about leadership and execution, because a lot of the stuff is not taught. People spend a lot of money on courses and books on execution. You got to drive results and outcomes. And so what I did was put in frameworks and models that I've developed that just simplifies it, anyone can use and get going. And so we talk about that, the STEER framework, which is strategy and tactics that have to be aligned. And then STEER, STEAR, so you got to execute. And then super important is the adjustments. Make adjustments, report what you're doing, and so you can analyze it and then start again. So it's a really neat book to help people get going, and it's all action based, so people can start doing it today and hopefully get out of the struggle or the hustle. One thing, Daniel, I think that's really important is when you're a founder, you're kind of built from a different cloth, right? I mean, you think you're good enough to be doing, hopefully think you're great enough and better and all that neat stuff. And there's a mindset that you can you got to hustle. And you do have to hustle. At some point, you can't out hustle a lot of these problems that exist, and you need systems in place and you need frameworks to carry you through. So that's what we talk about in the
Mr.
book.
Yes, Mr. David, what is the biggest misconception founders have about what it takes to scale successfully?
They think they can out hustle it. They think, oh, hey, I've got this, we're doing these XYZ and it's working, and now we're just going to do more XYZ. And what people don't understand is everything is about strategy. How do you fulfill that strategy in the process to get there? So when we look at decisions, whether they're big or small, there's always that steer model. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? How are we going to do it? And then start going. And how do we measure if it's working or not working and adjustments we need to make? I think when you start a company, a side hustle, whatever it is, you're doing everything. You're washing the floors, you're making the food, you're sweeping, you're whatever. To scale, you can't do that. You got to have the right people, the right systems, the right automations in there to get you to the point where you can start growing. And if you have the right customer base, they will grow with you, and that's how you compound success. So I think that misconception of we're a small company, we don't need to have systems, we don't need to scale in that manner. It's garbage. You do, because when you scale and grow, everything grows and scales. Your headaches, your problems, and all that. And so what happens are founders and folks like that end up spending their time putting out fires, fixing problems that exist and all that, as opposed to working on the business and growing it to the next level. And so we talk a lot about that in the book. And how do you get the right people, and how do you challenge them, and how do you set the right goals, and how do you hold them accountable in a good way, and lead them, and all that kind of stuff.
How is your playbook different from other business growth books?
Well, in my experience, this playbook doesn't exist. So I wrote it. I wish I had it. I know many do. I think a lot of books are more granular and niche, which sometimes talk about in the book, you have to be niche. This is a little, bigger, broader, and it's intentional. So I'll give you an example. We're doing some deals, very, very, very successful seasoned entrepreneur, probably for 30, 40 years. Said, holy cow, I had to highlight your book and come back to it because we're making some of these mistakes you talk about, right? So the information is presented in a way that's easy and actionable to do. You don't, some of these books out there might talk about marketing, might talk about customer service, might talk about whatever. And it's not giving the framework or mindset that people need. I just published an article in Forbes recently about customer success and the big missed opportunity that exists in that from a growth standpoint. So many companies just focus on new customer acquisition, and they don't grow their customer base and make sure that their customers are getting the outcomes they need. They just look for more new ones. It's the wrong way to grow. You got to grow, but you got to grow your customer base and make sure they're getting the outcome. So things like that mindset, accountability, how do you make sure you're on the right track, doing the right things versus things the right way? We talk about that in the book. Very big picture on the goals of marketing and sales. Marketing, you got to drive demand. Sales, you got to close that demand. And there's a process. So all these chapters have the process in place that you got to do. I'll give you an example. A lot of folks make the mistake of trying to talk to everybody. You can't. You gotta get your avatar, your ideal client. We have tools, some free tools that people can use to do it because I think there's a right way and a not right way. From there, that's where you're communicating. That's who you're communicating to. But also, are your targets problem aware? Do they even know they have a problem? Are they solution aware? Do they know that there's a solution? Are you the best fit, or do you have to educate them? So all these things come into play, and if you don't figure it out and communicate the right way from a marketing standpoint, no one's going to look at your site. No one's going to look at your landing page. No one's going to read your materials because it's not speaking to them. So we talk a lot about how you have to speak directly to your ideal client in the manner they want to be spoken to, and that's how you start them on that journey.
What mindset shift separate the 9% from the 91% in the early stages?
The seeking to get the right foundation and systems that can propel success. Right now, it's a little generic and weird, but it's the truth. Where a lot of mistakes people make is when they get going and they see some early success, they think it's them. And, it could be, but it could be the people around them. It could be their network. It could be a lot of things. What the 9%ers do is the mindset of saying, okay, why did this customer buy? Or why did this work? Or why did that not work? Or why did that tech, onboarding work or whatever? And it's measuring every instance to understand why it worked or didn't, and then either abandoning it, fixing it, or optimizing it. And so the folks that start doing well, so then go, okay, wait, that was interesting. All right, if we can replicate this, or maybe we try this now, and it's also finding the right people that they can bring in when they can afford it to propel that success. The folks that don't have the mindset of they can do it all, or we're small, we don't need systems, or oh, it's just sales, or it's revenue. What people make the mistake is revenue. It doesn't matter how good your product or service is. You could be the best scientist in the world or tech person, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're not driving healthy revenue, you have no company. It is the lifeblood of your organization. So everything has to be focused on how are you driving revenue results for the right reasons and propelling that growth. When the 9%ers understand that, and so they understand you're either in sales or working for sales, and then everything else has to support that. So obviously you need your good customer service and your good products and stuff like that, but it's all got to be intentional to drive healthy revenue growth.
Very well said, Mr. David. Very well said. Let's talk about the strategic scaling. What's the first operational change a founder should make to transition from struggling to scaling?
Yeah. I think it's, first of all, I'd say you got to follow the themes in the book and our process, because it works and it's easy to do and not a heavy lift. The first is following the STEER model, right? So strategy, tactics, execution, adjustments, reporting. So for every aspect of the business, it's why are we doing this? And I was taught this years ago by a board member to create my playbook. This is where I learned a lot of this. Every aspect of the business, why are we doing it? What are we doing it? How are we measuring success? And so I'll give you an example. As simple as your dentist group, right? Real simple example. Your dentist, you have an ad out there, maybe you're bulletin to your patient population, whatever, for teeth whitening. Okay. So what happens if somebody says, I'm interested? They call in. Well, what happens next? So you have to map all these things out. Probably the receptionist up front answers the phone, books the appointment. Was there a script? What questions are they asking? What information are they getting from the patient? Is there a way that when the patient comes, there's an upsell for whatever dentist upsell for? Is there information that needs to be sent so they can come in and ready to go? Are they taking a credit card payment? All these things have to go in just in that one little instance within a dental. When you're leaving that dental office, what's the process to drive and ensure those patients will come back? Is there a special quote unquote note from the dentist? Like all these things you have to evaluate. They probably have processes in place to say clean the instruments and the tables. If not, they need SOPs. But just like that, where you have a process for cleaning the instruments and getting ready for the next patient, you got to have that for that process, the SOP for every aspect of your business, and answering the question, is this working? Is this correct? And how do we know if it's right or wrong? And then you can say, hey, do I need a person involved in this, or can I automate that? And the example I just gave, no, you probably don't. You could probably set it up digitally and remove the human interaction. So there's a lot of things that you can do, but to go into that scaling mode, if you don't have everything mapped out, you don't know what to fix. When there's a problem, when we have a problem, many of our companies or companies we help, we can go back and look at the mapping and say, okay, well, here's where it's isolated. Here's the problem. Here's the fix, or we need to like kind of kill the whole program. So that's how you can enable yourself to scale. Hope that made sense.
Makes sense, Mr. David. And as a best-selling author and trusted voice on founder success and business growth, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
So the goals, right now, so we're it's our mission to help anybody, especially founders, because it's so hard, and veterans. So we really are passionate about helping homeless vets. I think, unfortunately, a lot of them are ignored, so we want to help. So 100% of the proceeds from the book we're donating to homeless vets. We have an actual 9% club and community where people can come and leverage our tools, leverage the community, network, get trainings. We have speakers that come in, all this cool stuff. That's $9 a month. It's like literally a cup of coffee or two at Starbucks. I mean, it's nothing. And we did it intentional. We want people to come in. We just want to help founders win. A portion of that will go back towards homeless vets. So again, we can help out both. If folks want our revenue operating system, which is what we use to drive millions of dollars, we have that available. Obviously, it's a little higher, but affordable to anybody. If people are serious about growing this gun, they need a revenue operating system. And then all the other stuff that goes into it. So we have, for where people are in their stages, something that's like literally, a couple slices of pizza and that's it for the cost a month or a little more. Either way, we really want to help. The short and long-term goal is helping founders win and helping homeless vets live better.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. David, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be, of course, like you?
Get the book. I wish it's something I had. So get the book. It's going to go to helping vets, but really with the book, there's every chapter is what you can do today to implement it. We have free resources. Join the club for $9 a month. It's nothing. You get access to us. We want to help. And help people grow and share our wisdom and stuff like that. So, and get people on the right way and the right path, because that's what we need. I mean, people have goals and dreams, and we want to help them accomplish them.
Yes, and thank you for that advice, Mr. David. And can you please recommend a book that influenced your journey, or book that influenced your journey?
There's a bunch. One is a book called Execution: The Discipline of Getting Things Done by Larry Bossidy. Wonderful book. It's probably 20-something years old. I still follow a lot of that today. Wonderful book by Richard Branson, Losing My Virginity. Again, that's another 25-year-old-ish book, but well worth a read. And keep reading. It's how you grow. Right now, personally, I'm reading books about Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, especially on inversion theory. One of their suggestions are that they always read books from 100 years ago. So keep reading and learning, and most importantly, act. Do it. Just do, act. As Yogi Berra says, you come to a fork in the road, take it. Just act. You can always figure it out. People fail and lose because of inaction. Don't be afraid of failing.
Yes, it's
Go to
empowering. Empowering recommendation, Mr. David. Truly empowering. If you could only teach founders one lesson from your book, what would it be?
I would say make sure you are passionate about what you are doing. Ideally, your product or service should be helping people accomplish their goals. Whatever that means. In healthcare, that means it can help patients have a better life, or the people working on patients to make them better. If you're passionate about what you do, you don't need an alarm clock. You should get up every morning super excited to go make this world a better place. Don't lose that passion. Don't get blinded by shiny objects. Stay true to what you're doing. You might have to pivot your approach, but stay true to your passion and what you can, how you can serve the world and people in the world. Success always comes. You got to stay true to your passion. Don't get blinded by shiny objects.
Yes, success will come to you if you will do the key of success, as Mr. David recommend. And what do 9% maintain company culture during the hypergrowth?
I'm sorry, say it again.
How do the 9% maintain company culture during the hypergrowth?
Yeah, great question. We'll cover that in the leadership chapter. You have to have, in my opinion, culture is everything. And I think it's very underappreciated and undervalued. It's something that people talk about, but I think it's very underutilized. You got to have the right culture. In my companies, we have a culture of winning. Every single person, from someone sweeping the floors to whatever, matters. They have an impact. We care about winning. We care about being better than anyone else and being super successful and making sure our customers are super happy. I talk a lot about 1 + 1 = 3. When you have the right people all following in that right culture, 1 + 1 = 3. And we always have a culture of excellence, right? We set the bar. We do things that others can't do in a quicker amount of time. And I can make sure my strength is getting the right people, setting them up to win, and getting the heck out of the way so they can do what they're good at. That culture of winning, if sometimes you might need to work 18 hours straight, and then you don't need to work for a while, right? People that you got to have that mind. So we look at people that have that mindset of, we're going to finish this. It's going to be super excellent. And then they can take the day out, whatever it is. But for us, it's a culture of excellence. Other places it might be something different. It's a culture of fun, happiness. We all love working together. And that's something I really strive to achieve. If someone doesn't fit that culture, they got to go. And part of that is the passion, right? Are you passionate about what we're doing and delivering? Other folks might have different cultures, but you got to find out what your culture is, and then you got to have the people that mold into that culture. Where a lot of folks make a mistake is they get people and then they change their culture. Just be passionate what you're doing. I want people coming in loving where they work, loving the difference they can make. They get really well rewarded. It's easy, I'm not micromanaging, but they got to win and they got to be the best. And if you have that, that's how you scale.
Good luck for that, Mr. David. Truly empowering. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in 5th season, abstract poetry in 2nd season, and my book 101 review in 5th season too, comedy 101 in 2nd season, and my food 101 is in its 5th season as well. Geography 101 in its 4th season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101 Love Letters in 3rd season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its 4th season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its 1st season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. David, what is the next for you? Are you creating a community or tools to help founders to join the 9% Club?
Absolutely. Come to 9%er. So like the number 9% with an ER. So 9%er.com. If you want to grab the book, book.9percenter.com and we'll send it out. We just, pay for shipping and handling and we'll send it out. But join the community, 9percenter.com and start taking advantage of the tools we have, the training, the resources. Become a 9%er. Your life, there's a good chance your life will be better off for it. That's our goal, at least.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. David Goldstein because it's one of a kind advocacy. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now? Mr. David?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So where the people can buy your book?
At 9percenter.com.
Yes.
They go to 9percenter.com It'll help you. It'll help homeless vets. Everyone will be better off.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. David Goldstein, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books like this to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. David, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
More to come, people. See you soon.